right, guys. It's finally here. UFC 300 is this weekend. One of the biggest cards we've ever seen. It's a day on the Spar Scene MMA Show. We're going to break it down for you guys. Pretty much the whole card is stacked, and we've been waiting for a long time for this. I'm super excited. I'm sure you guys are. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's start breaking down the first fight of the night. Deiveson, Figuereido, and Cody Garbrandt. This is a good opener, a bantamweight bout. This is Deiveson Figueiredo's first bantamweight fight. How are you guys feeling about this one?
Wait a minute. You know what? Is it his second? Did he fight? He fought Rapant, right? That's what we missed. He fought.
Oh, my bad.
It was his second one at the weight class, which it looked good, and he made a good splash in that fight. I think he's got big power at the weight class. He does. And my biggest worry for Cody is that, you know, despite his performance last time out, he did have a good performance against Brian Kelleher. He dropped him and knocked him out. But with the exception of that, it's been rough goings on his chin. His chin is questionable. I worry, man. I worry that Deiveson's going to catch that chin. Maybe that's why they put it as the opener to get some sort of violent finish. I could see either one of them getting knocked out. But I definitely lean towards Cody getting finished just because I haven't really seen Deiveson get dropped that bad by that many people. What, maybe Brandon Moreno? Is that it?
Yeah.
So. That's all he's fought.
That's the only person.
Yeah.
It's the only guy he fights, really.
That's why I was confused if it was his first fight or not. Like, if you look at his history, he's got like 5 fights in a row with Moreno, and that's pretty much his UFC career almost. Maybe
Figuereido versus Moreno 27 in celebrity boxing. Like it's never going to end. But I definitely think Figuereido has a chance to challenge for the title at that weight class. It would be interesting to see. So I think this might be another stepping stone. I think they want him to have a big name so that on his way up to the weight class, he'll have like some stepping stones that look good for the promo packages. Like, I noticed that when a fighter moves from one weight class to another that was huge, they like to kind of give them a clear path to the title. It's like, I'm not just moving up here just for fun fights. I'm moving up here to try to get to the title. But I definitely, I think I picked Deiveson Figuereido here. Do you guys, or no? You guys ride on Cody?
It's tough, man, because like Figuereido, you fought Rapant in his last fight. He looked good. He didn't look, great. But we'll see. We think he's like younger than Garbrandt, right? That's the first thing you think when you see these two fighters, at least for me. But Figueiredo is 4 years older than Cody Garbrandt.
Wow.
And so, I didn't realize that either. Yeah. And so in these smaller weight classes, we talk about this all the time. Like, the first thing to go is your speed. Figueiredo obviously has the power. That's one of his big weapons. But Garbrandt's quick, man. Like, Garbrandt, I feel like the past few fights, he's improved drastically. Like, once he took that layoff and he came back, he kind of looked okay. Then he looked better and better ever since that first fight back. So I think plus 270, dude, that's a big underdog. I'm surprised it's that steep. I would say like more like a plus 150. But I think Garbrandt has a shot to upset Figueiredo. I really do believe that.
Ooh.
I think he's getting his guru back, or his aura back, whatever the word you want, his mojo. So I think, honestly, I really think he can upset Figueiredo. And that's not our best bet. You have to wait for that video, but I think it's possible.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely possible. I think you're right about the age. It's funny you say that. Like, you would assume that Cody is older, but coming off that last knockout, I think he has a lot of mojo coming back on this fight. So we'll see. But Deiveson does look pretty good as a bantamweight. He had those rough weight cuts. I don't know if you saw how lean he was when he fought at flyweight. He struggled a lot with that. So, it's only a second bantamweight fight. So we're going to see how well that plays. But yeah, I don't think I want to bet on this fight. But yeah, I can see. I think I got Deiveson in this one, in my opinion. I think the wrestling's going to take over in the jiu-jitsu.
Also, if Cody does win, it would be a huge feel-good moment, though, for the UFC. Yep. I think they love him and have always invested big in him. So it would be kind of nice to like start the night off on something nice like this, because we'll get to it. But I think there are going to be some career-altering fights. Gaethje and Holloway, we're about to talk about you pretty soon. But moving on up the card, we got a tilt at lightweight. We got Bobby Green versus Mr. Jim Miller. So here, this is barely holding on to the top 15. Bobby Green's at number 14. The last fight was what? Jalin Turner. Ooh, horrendous look.
That was
He
not
put
a
it on
smart
him.
fight to take.
Mm-mm.
I don't know why he took that fight. He was on a hot streak. Beat Tony Ferguson, upset Grant Dawson, then goes into Jalin Turner, who's absolute beast in this division, physically. And yeah, it didn't end well for him. This is a fun fight. I think it's a perfect matchup.
Replacement, was that what it was with Turner? Like why he had
it was a late replacement.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering.
I don't know how late it was. I can't remember.
Who you got here?
Man.
I like Bobby Green in this one. I think he's still got it. Even though he got that loss, like that, his last loss was on a late notice. He looked really good in those 2 fights before that against Ferguson, which not saying too much, but Dawson's a real deal, and he put it on him in that fight. So I'm gonna go with Bobby Green in this one.
He had one punch that landed.
He starts
that one punch didn't land. That could have been a completely different fight. So, but
yeah, we could say that about like
I know. But
the ground game too, you avoided the ground, which is Jim Miller's place where he succeeds.
So I think I don't know, man. I don't know. I think
Jim Miller could
Bobby
have
Green wins
300 magic and pull this off.
Yeah,
he could, man.
My heart's.
I love both of these guys. Honestly, it's tough to say. They're both legends. They're both in the Hall of Fame. It'll just be fun to see these guys just go at it. To be honest.
Yeah, there's no losers on a fight like that. I think both these dudes are like battle worn, battle tested. And if Bobby can he's got good wrestling defense, believe it or not. We get it wrong on him because of the Islam fight that, he can't wrestle. Like, that's Islam, dude. Pretty much, everybody gets taken down or eventually ragdolled by Islam because this is going to happen anyway. So he got kind of pwned by him on the ground, but I don't know if Jim Miller has the ability to necessarily out-physical him like that, but who knows, man. Jim Miller comes out there sometimes and muckles people. He's got that old man strength that you just can't seem to do. He dealt with that Lyme disease scare, and once he got past that, man, he's actually looked really, really good, especially for a dude his age. But we'll see. I think Bobby Green also might be getting to that point where, and this would mess up my pick, but he might be getting to that point in his career where his chin's getting chinny because he has been in so many wars. He hasn't really been put out that many times. That Jalin Turner fight, in my opinion, I feel like the ref let it go on for maybe an extra 10 seconds too long. It just seemed like it was like a foregone conclusion, but we shall see. Many more fights to get to. Next up the card, we have Jessica Andrade. She looks extremely angry in this picture. Very pronounced brow, very Cro-Magnon, very rageful. The traps. I mean, Jessica, please relax, okay?
Do you notice her tattoo on her forearm when she's like getting her name announced before the fight? Have you noticed that?
No.
On her forearm, it's like a lion, and it's like a lion looking over her child, like her baby lion. I think it's someone do with like a lion, but it's pretty wild. I noticed her last fight. Watch it this weekend. It's pretty cool tattoo. And she poses it when they're announcing her name. It's pretty cool.
She's for real, man. I mean, Jessica Andrade is a freak. She's always been a marauder. She's like the female version of what's his face, the axe murderer, Vanderlei Silva. She just run after you, throwing like left hooks only. Like when she got knocked out by the chick who's fighting Weili Zhang. That was one of those examples where she was just like charging after her, throwing left hands, spamming the same left hand until she gets knocked out. That same behavior could get her in big trouble. Marina Rodriguez does have straight punches, and straight punches do get boxers plums. So I definitely think that if Jessica comes in there that wild, just everything is a power shot, everything is being like winded up on, she could get outpointed by decision, kind of similar to what Joanna Jędrzejczyk did to her back in the day for the title. But if she's a little more patient, if she's a little bit more like the Andrade that fought Mackenzie Dern, now that's a different version. It's almost like she had that confidence of knowing, like, I'm better in the stand-up. It's just a matter of time. I just need to wade through some of this and I'll survive. If she does it like that, She can knock her out pretty easily. She's got a huge power advantage over Marina. Don't you think?
I mean, you're talking Mackenzie Dern's boxing versus Marina Rodriguez's boxing.
Bro, Dern's best boxing.
We know Dern's boxing was in Crunch Fitness.
I don't know if you call that boxing, dude. That's like
that was batting.
That's practice. Like those local boxing classes where you just do it for exercise and hit the bag like 9 round. That's Mackenzie Dern boxing. You just do it for the fitness.
Yeah.
Fighting out of 9-round academy.
Yeah.
9-round academy.
Let's say there's another kickboxing. I forgot the name of it. But yeah, I think Marina, her reach, her length is going to be too much. I think if you saw her last fight against Waterson Gomez, Michelle, that was a assault. Like, holy cow! Like that was like a different animal. I think if she keeps that aggressiveness, I think she easily beats Andrade. I really do. I think this is not my best bet, but it would be a very good bet. I would say for Rodriguez. I think she takes this fight. Yeah, I'm a high confidence pick. Marina Rodriguez, I would say.
Yeah, weird odds too. I think they don't know what to make of this fight because at any moment it could go south for her. But as long as she stays disciplined and stays on her bike, it could look very much like a repeat of Blanchfield versus Furo, or however we say her last name. Nobody knows how, so we're just going to stop trying. Turns out even Anik was wrong. We're all wrong. If he's not right, then no one can be right.
Yeah.
But
true.
Yeah. What do you think on this one, Simon? You got a pick for this one?
I'll be honest, dude. I don't know. I love women's MMA, but this fight right here doesn't really entertain me too much. I do like Jessica Andrade, but I think this fight I might be grabbing a snack and then maybe check on the lion tattoo at the end.
You'd be busy just folding some laundry.
Well, you'll be with me, so you might help me out. I don't know
exactly. Rolling the gi back and forth. So moving up the card, we have Uncle Renato Moicano versus Jalin Turner. Jalin Turner is about 8'6", fighting at lightweight, and Renato Moicano is maybe a little taller than me. He's should actually be at this weight class. The last time I went against Renato Moicano was against Drew Dober. Drew Dober lit him up, and he survived and used his grappling to overcome. But man, you'd think I would learn my lesson picking against Renato. I don't know, man, because Jalin Turner is so violent, but then he also lays some real big turkeys at times. I don't know. This is a tough one. Is Jalin going to fold because he's just inexperienced in the wrestling too much?
He's like Kevin Holland. He's he has so much potential. He just cannot be consistent, and it's he'll be in a fight, but he'll just be lazy. If someone goes for a takedown or a grappling exchange, he just gets lazy, and he's in a bad position, and then he loses the round. And it's you can't have those slip ups and just be lose your focus and things like that. I want to think Jalin wins, but I mean, Moicano can catch a grappling exchange, take the back, and it can be a night,
Mm-hmm. It can be a wrap just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you about him getting kind of struggling in the grappling department, kind of looking lazy, but he still gains points in other ways. When he fought Gamrot, he lost split decision. It was questionable. So I think he can find the points when he needs to. Maybe not even points, maybe even a knockout. But Renato Moicano, I mean, he looks good. So we're going to see how that goes. But I do like Jalin Turner in this fight, mainly because I am a tall, skinny guy. He kind of reps our community. So I would like to see him win, and I'm going to pick him. I think his striking is going to be a little too much for Renato Moicano. So I'm going to go with Jalin Turner on that one. But Brad, you are right. If he gets lazy in the grappling department, with it being a 3-round fight, he could easily lose 2 rounds, snap of a finger. Yeah, he may have a good round where he almost gets Moicano out of there, but that's going to be his biggest problem, is getting kind of lazy in the grappling department. But he's such a tall and he's such an athletic freak that I think people do struggle to even get him in bad positions grappling. So he does have that on his hand.
Yeah, he's a long boy, and I could see Renato getting a little desperate at the end of those punches and getting finished, maybe getting knocked out with a long range left hook or something like that. And even if he loses, it will be okay, because he's going to join the SWAT team and save us in America from ourselves. So it's going to be okay. There's hope at the end of the tunnel, no matter what happens. Second career. I believe that is that looks like the early prelims feature fight. At this point, they're going to go straight from Fight Pass to ESPN broadcast only for the opener of the actual prelims, which Jimmy Butler, eat your heart out. We've got the ultimate emo haircut. Okay. This one's
That was
much
good.
better. And Sodiq Yussuf versus Diego Lopez. This is a banger. I think Diego is going to starch him. And that's not to say that Sodiq is not a good fighter, man. He's really tough. He's tough. But I have some doubts. Was it Sodiq that had that weird fight with Edson Barboza where he almost killed Edson and then still lost?
Yep. And his stock dropped like crazy after that too. Like he had a lot of hype coming into that fight, and then he lost, which, I don't know. It's kind of weird. And he's obviously underdog in this fight. I see why, but it's just weird how much his stock dropped
that quickly.
Yeah. I wouldn't have put this past Yussuf. I think Diego Lopez is getting a ton of hype after his last win, but I think Yussuf, I like him in this fight. I think he has more experience. He's been in bigger fights. He's seen better opponents. I think I'd be ready for this fight. I think Diego Lopez is on a hype train right now, but I don't think it's legit just yet. He has more to prove to me before I'm backing up this guy.
I think he's going into a wood chipper. He doesn't realize it.
I think people are sleeping on Yussuf because if he finished Barboza in the first minute of that fight, like he could have, people would be hyping him up more, but he didn't. And that's one of those things, like we said earlier with Simon, like, okay, you could say that about a lot of fights. But I think if he finished that fight in the first round, people would look at him like, holy cow, this guy's like the next big thing. But he didn't, and he ended up losing the fight, which is unfortunate. But I think it doesn't take away from his talent and how skilled he is. So I think, I like him in this fight, even though he's probably not the most popular pick.
There was something Sodiq said in an interview after the fight with Edson that I actually really liked. Is they were talking to him afterwards at the press conference about maybe some health struggles leading up to the fight, right? And I think he did have some. I don't know if it was staph or something much like that. But he said something cool. He's like, but I'm not going to say anything about it because I don't want to take away from what Edson did tonight because he beat me fair and square. And I thought that was kind of cool. Like he didn't, like the interviewer was trying to take him on that trip of coping and he wouldn't take the bait. And I appreciate that because there's been these times where like the Diaz brothers, guys, Nick Diaz tried to say to the media that he thought GSP's team snuck into his locker room and poisoned his water. And that's why he was feeling sluggish out there against GSP. Because they roofied him or something in his Poland Spring. What is going on? I don't know. So Sodiq definitely a little bit more gracious about losing, and I think that shows like somebody who's going to grow and learn from it and not just be like, well, I'm just going to do the same thing every fight and still lose. Like maybe he'll learn something from that, come out here slanging and banging. But people are high on Diego, man. He's got that sort of viral marketability. I don't know if it's just the hair. I don't know if it's the tats, but isn't he dating somebody famous fighter? Am I imagining that?
No, I don't think. I mean, he coaches in Mexico with I can't think.
Grasso.
The Grasso team. Yeah. So.
Oh, okay.
So he's got high fight IQ, and I think that's why people were big on him. He's got the charisma. He's a super nice guy. But it's weird to say that both these guys are like somewhat, early in their careers. I mean, Sodiq's 30 years old, so not super early, but I do feel like the maturity of Sodiq is going to come into play. And like, it's hard to even say I'll go against Diego in this because I do like him, but I just don't think it's his time right now to get like a big win. But we'll see.
You know what else? This is featherweight, and he's not even ranked, and Sadiq's all the way at 13. Shows you the depth of that division. It's insane. Going up a weight class to the ladies' bantamweights.
Mystery
Alex's
fighter.
favorite fighter, Holly Holm, versus the air. Versus the wind shakes from the barley.
I don't know about the character yet.
Exactly. You got to buy like a premium skin before you can get Kayla Harrison in the game.
Got to buy 5 pass.
Like, listen, I mean, it's Kayla Harrison. She is like regardless of whatever people may think, some people don't like her attitude. They think she's too arrogant or she talks too much crap. But I think she does do a pretty good job of marketing herself. She's from PFL. If anybody who doesn't know, if you're just a UFC fan, she came from PFL. She won a bunch of these tournaments where they get $1 million. But she fought 155. She's a renowned Olympic judoka, and she tossed people on their head and almost kills them. She's got amazing throws, great grappling. I think she's only been beaten once in PFL, and that's about it. And she had beaten that girl 2 other times, I want to say. So she's definitely all that. But where I get concerned about this fight, and this was a question I had just overall for the weekend, is she fought at 155. For the longest, she was talking to Dana about possibly coming to UFC. But the whole idea was there is no weight class for me. Am I going to fight at 145? Well, if I fight at 145, it literally is the weight class they created just so they could make that Cyborg versus Amanda Nunes fight. They just did it just so they could do that. You could tell. And then it just slowly kind of fell apart. There's hardly any fighters in the division. So now we got somebody who used to fight at 155, and she said it was deathly getting down to 145. Now she's going down to 135 to fight Holly Holm. I don't know why. I just get a feeling that this feels like a trap. Like they're trying to get her to the point where she's completely worn out. Her weight is a problem. She's trying to get down there and then has to fight somebody that doesn't have to struggle. Is there a part of Dana that wants to delegitimize the fighter from another promotion coming in?
That's a good point.
Well, I mean, she's a -500 favorite, which is impressive.
Still.
I don't understand why they waited for Nunes to retire before Kayla was brought over to the UFC. Like, come on. That's a super fight of all super fights for women's MMA, and they didn't make it. So now that Nunes is gone, let's bring Kayla Harrison to the UFC. Let's drop her, 20 pounds lower into the bantamweight division. I don't know, man. Holly Holm, she's not young. She's 42, and she still looks strong. She still looks like she has it, but of course, you're going to slow down. You can't help that. I think Kayla's going to be too strong, even though she's, dropping out of this weight class. She's going to be too strong, and I think she's going to wear Holly Holm down for all 3 rounds. And I think it's going to be a boring fight, in my opinion. But I think she's going to win round by round, just through the wrestling and the grappling and the judo, like you said.
Yeah, I think Kayla Harrison's just going to ragdoll her around, honestly.
Just could toss her. I mean, what are the chances? What's the over and under that we're going to see some head and arm throws? Oh, boy.
One each round.
This is going to be the first fight to ever be contested where the finish is a double head and arm throw KO. I'm sorry. I can't help but hate on it sometimes. I don't know what it is. It's just maybe I'm burnt after that Atlantic City night, just sawing at the air. Dude, the air got beat to shit that night, dude. The air got beat up, dude. Had to get admitted to the hospital. God dang. Just make sure, Holly, if you're going to try to punch and kick Kayla, make sure that you can see her. Not like this picture, because you can't really make that out. But in real life, try to get closer to her. This is the thing. She's been fighting a little bit scared, and she's been using the clinch a lot, Holly, to kind of win her fights lately. She's been putting people up against the fence and using that to kind of bully people around. She needs to stop doing that against this one, though, because you don't want to keep going, oh, Kayla, come here, let me clinch with you so I can get a rest. You're not going to get a rest. That's where she wants you. But definitely could see Kayla smashing. I don't think Holly's going to ruin the party. But, man, if she did, imagine you got Ronda and Kayla. She's like the kryptonite to judo. Good God Almighty. But enough about Holly. She's already got too much airplay. So we got Calvin Kattar versus Aljamain Sterling. Holy crap. So what do we make of this fight, boys? This is Aljamain going up.
So this is of all fights on this card, I'm most excited to see this fight. One, because Aljamain's going up in a weight class. I'm ready to see that. And then 2, Calvin Kattar, his fight against was it Giga Chikadze? I think it was Giga Chikadze, right? 2 years ago. Absolutely beat him down. It was crazy. The year before that fight was Max Holloway just destroying Calvin Kattar. I think it was like exactly a year later. Kattar, did the same thing to Giga Chikadze. If he can perform like that, he's going to beat Aljamain Sterling. However, Aljamain, of course, has the wrestling, the jiu-jitsu. So we'll see. I mean, it could be like a Sean O'Malley. He just catches Aljamain coming in for a takedown or something. I could see that happening, man. I really could. And these odds are reflecting that. It's almost like a pick 'em fight. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But
yeah, I really like Aljo in this fight. He struggled with the weight cut and bantamweight. But he already looks like super beefy. I've been watching some of his vlogs, so I think he's gonna go in there and just take advantage of his grappling. Kattar hasn't fought in like 2 years as well. So when you have a guy coming in up in weight, he's going to be a lot more hydrated. He's going to have a lot more energy. Someone like Aljo, these just come in there and he's going to get a takedown within the first minute. Kattar's going to be struggling a little bit to get out of that, and I think Aljo can get a finish in this submission finish, in my opinion. I think it's just beating. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going with Aljo in this one. I really like him at featherweight. I think he got a chance to become. I don't know. I can't say become a champ, but I think he's going to work his way back to getting a title fight in featherweight and prove himself again. Hopefully, mentally, he's not too messed up since the Sean O'Malley fight, but I think he's going to come in here and get a win easily.
I don't think that Calvin, and I like Calvin a lot, I don't think he's quite as precise totally as Sean. One thing that we get, maybe we don't realize or give enough credit to with Sean O'Malley is his accuracy and his timing. Yeah. Those are two of the things he does really well, man. Like that, he's slick in there with that stuff. He's got power, but it's the way he puts people out is because of where he puts it. He puts it right where it needs to go. Like when he hit Aljamain, is this bunk right there. And you're right. Some what you said about Aljamain is like, I hope he doesn't come in gun shy about getting into exchanges, because that was kind of a 1 in a million shot. Let me ask you this. It says number 2. Are they giving him a ranking at 145 already? Or are they just saying he was number 2 at featherweight?
I think it's number 2 at bantamweight. Okay. I don't know. It just hasn't updated. We know how the UFC website can be.
Yeah.
They take a little time.
I think technically he's unranked, but if he wins at this, like obviously they're going to give him a higher rank.
Yeah, these odds are looking at like minus 160 for Aljo.
Minus 160.
108, yeah.
Wow, so they're really favoring the grappling, which I mean it's smart to do because Calvin can do the fight's in his reach. He can do this. He could definitely do this, but he just needs to make sure he didn't get that back taken, because once Aljamain gets on that back, dude, I mean look at what he did to my boy Corey Sandhagen. Oh my God, he choked the life out of him in like a minute and a half, and it's. They similar body types a little bit, Calvin and him. They're like long, tall, kind of strikers, like rangy guys. So we'll see. All good things for both guys, though. Both guys, I think, are good sports. They didn't talk a lot of crap about each other in the build-up. So we shall see. Calvin Kattar, fellow New Englander. Please don't let us down. This fight.
I don't know what to make of this fight.
It's the weirdest weight class, the weirdest fighters from the weirdest weight class. Look at him. He looks like your computer is having a short. Like, what is going on with him?
I'm not going to lie. He kind of annoys me. Like, I like him, but...
Is it the haircut or the mysticism?
Like, the whole thing he did with Jamal Hills. Like, I'm coming.
I am coming.
Like, why do that, right? Why go all the way out into the wilderness to film a 5-second clip? I mean, come on.
Well, he didn't go all the way out there. He was already there.
Yeah, I was about to say he's already training there anyway.
But why? Why are you out there? Is the question.
I don't know, man. We'll see. I don't know. I think I'm favoring Jiri in this fight. I don't think Rakic has like shown me enough to be comfortable picking him. So of course, this is not our best bets video, but I do favor Jiri in this fight. I think he's more just like, he's so awkward, like the way he strikes and everything. Even with Pereira, he caught him a few times. Of course, he lost the fight, but he caught him a few times. And I think he'll win this fight. I don't think Rakic has done enough, in my opinion, to make me think otherwise.
Rakic has been in some stinkeroonies too. Then I understand you got to do what you got to do. He's fighting big old boys, but he's one of those fighters that, I mean, one thing I will say, this is kind of a compliment in disguise. He's willing to win ugly. Like, he'll win a fight off of like one leg kick stat. Like, he'll just grind out these fights at the very lowest kind of like metrics on strikes thrown, barely throwing anything. I think he had a fight against Anthony Smith that was just, dude, that was one of those ones you fall asleep, you wake up, you're like, oh my God, what did I miss?
Yeah.
It just, nothing was happening. And he's willing to slow down the fight to such an extent so that he can win it. That's where he feels comfortable. Jiri doesn't slow anything down. He's just, from moment number one, balls to the wall. He's like chasing you down, trying to kill you, which can be a negative and a positive, but I think it's going to surprise Rakic and put him on his heels. I don't think Rakic is used to the pressure. He likes a measured, slow fight, like with Anthony Smith, like where they kind of, remember Johnny Walker versus Anthony Smith in Charlotte? That's the kind of fight he likes, that kind of slow range, using his stuff at range, jabs, a lot of calf kicks. So we'll see. Would like to see Jiri back on track, though, because whatever was going on with him, I think he said he only had like a week of actual training against Pereira, but he didn't want to not take that fight. I'm not sure what was going on, but was he not fully healed from an injury? Is that what it was?
I don't remember, honestly. Something with his shoulder. I don't know if that was it or something else.
Maybe he was playing with his samurai sword in his backyard and sliced himself open on accident. But that is the end of the light heavyweight fights on the prelims. That's going to be the feature fight on the prelims before we get into my friends.
Skip this next fight.
Actually, Brad, go for it. That was your
all right. I have one question for you. If there's one fight on this main card, prelims, early prelims, there's one fight you would take off this card. For me, it would be this fight. For you guys, would you agree?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I would take it off the main card for sure.
Yeah.
Put it on the first. I think it should be the opener, if anything, or the second, at least somewhere in the early prelims.
And why not give him a better opponent? Why Cody Brundage? Cody Brundage's name should not be on this UFC 300 schedule. Prelims doesn't matter. His name should not be on here. There's got to be other middleweights. Other middleweights should be fighting Bo Nickal. This is,
I mean, look at the odds.
300 and we're watching Cody Brundage fight. I mean,
it's minus 1350. Which, by the way, that's not even. Yeah, he's minus 2,300 in the real lines right now.
Gosh,
and it's
minus 3,000 on the ESPN app.
Wow. I mean, they want to move him along slow. I get it. They want to build this guy, but one of the first.
Do you think they've offered him? Do you think they've offered fights to other guys in the top 15 and they just didn't accept it? Yeah, so that's why he's fighting Cody Brundage.
Yeah, I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
It could be his contract. Maybe he doesn't want to fight certain ranked guys until his pay grade goes up, like Sean O'Malley.
Yeah. Well, there's also something. I don't know if he said anything else about it, but he said he would never fight on like a prelim or early prelim. So maybe that was something in his contract where they wanted him on 300, but like on the contract they said not to. I mean, I don't know. That's like deep lore about his history, but he did mention that on like a podcast or something. He's like, yeah, I told UFC I would never be in a prelim. But then he was saying like, yeah, I shouldn't be above Charles Oliveira. So he gets it, but I think part of him's like, hey, like I'm not going to be on a prelim. You can put me on a different card or something. So
just find me a spot elsewhere.
It's not that necessary to even have him. I mean, I look forward to see how he does, but we all know how this fight's going to go. It's not even worth talking about.
Is it a foregone conclusion?
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing: is that we got these guys that come up like, I'm the biggest Kamzat guy. I love Chimaev. He's one of my guys, right? But he's taking a lot of shots, man, and the way he fights is so reckless. He reminds me of Bo Nickal, and I want that fight. The UFC, if they have any brains, should want that fight. They should want Bo Nickal versus Robert Whittaker, Bo Nickal versus Kamzat. You want those fights. Bo Nickal versus Jared Cannonier is a fight that I'd like to see.
Yeah,
because I feel like that's a guy he's a stiff test on the feet, but he definitely doesn't do that great with grappling. I think that'd be a test to say, okay, can Bo get rid of somebody who's elite when they're that much better than him on the feet? Which I don't know. Maybe he's not that much better than him. I mean, Bo's boxing's been looking pretty good. Granted, maybe not against world-class guys, but, you know, who was that? Val Woodburn?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was landscaping like a day before he went to fight Bo Nickal. Now Bo Nickal's on the I don't know. I think it's not like Bo Nickal's a bad guy. I think it's just to be on 300 it's special and you have to earn respect to be on it. Like every other guy on this card has earned their respect, or girl has earned their respect to be on this card. It's like I don't think Bo has earned any of the UFC fans' respect to be on the card. I think that's where the issue is. I think he's getting hate of being like, you know, annoying, which he can be. I know you guys may agree, but I mean, I don't think he's that annoying. I think it's just how the UFC is presenting him has been annoying as well, or that's the most annoying part of it.
They should let him be a heel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they're serving this guy on a silver platter when he's not silver platter material yet.
Yeah. Like it's almost like they want him to be the guy. And it doesn't it's hard. You can't force that. Like it just people take a liking to who they're gonna like. Look,
you become the guy yourself, you know?
But hey, we shall see. Cody's probably gonna get annihilated. Sorry, Cody, we love you, dude. At least you got on 300. That's great. Moving up the card. Bo Nickal's going to be again. Oh, no, he's not. He's just making a terrible video.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Oh, jeez. Now we're getting into the real stuff. I see about that one. We got Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsurakyan. Oh, my God. My heart can't take it. My heart wants what it wants. I want Charles Oliveira, but my brain keeps telling me that Arman's just gonna chase him down and just sit on a rear waist cinch for 2 hours, kind of like what Garbrandt just did to RDA. I don't know though. I hope not. I hope Charles just starches this dude. Is it gonna happen? Am I gonna get my wish?
I don't know, but both of these guys beat Dariush in the first round, their last fights, which I think is pretty interesting. Dude, I mean, Tsurakyan's wrestling is relentless. Oliveira has jiu-jitsu, which is the best counter for wrestling. But it's like a no-gi, sweaty UFC fight. Like, it's so hard to catch submissions, like when you're, you know, sweating and there's nothing to grab onto. So jiu-jitsu is hard to come by in UFC. It could be a weapon to like, get off your back and get back to your feet maybe, but I think Tsurakyan's – unless Oliveira can catch him coming in with a takedown, I think that's his best bet. But Tsurakyan's going to be tough, man. He's going to be tough. He's a favorite, minus 230. It's tough, man. I hate to see it, but I think it's going to be a tough night for Oliveira.
You break my heart.
Dude, I got Oliveira in this fight, guys. I don't know. I'm obviously a favoritism, but we can't forget who Dude Bronx is, man. This dude beat Chandler, Poirier, Gaethje, Makhachev. Come on, man. I mean, now it's Makhachev. Probably going to end up being one of the greatest lightweights of all time. Comes back from that fight, beats Dariush. Arman's had some questionable fights too. I mean, the Garbrandt fight, he lost, but I think Oliveira can knock his ass out. Honestly, I think he's going to come. I think Arman's going to try to go for the takedowns, kind of follow Islam's plan, but it's just not going to work, dude. We all see what happens when you try to take Charles down. He's gonna get knocked down, or he's gonna like fall on his back. He's gonna get back up, and then he's gonna, you know, knock him out. So he's gonna shoot for like a triangle randomly, and then the next round he's gonna, you know, get back up, shoot for another triangle, get back
jumping
up.
Knee.
So yeah, jumping knee. So I think it's gonna be a scrap. I mean, I hope it's a good fight, but we'll see. I got Charles Oliveira in this one.
I would expect nothing different.
If
Oliveira loses this fight, I might have to walk out of the apartment because I don't want to be on Simon.
I'm leaving the apartment.
Wow.
Also, one thing you guys aren't realizing too is that Arman's not illuminated by God, so that's a big thing.
that's one thing we missed. Listen, man, he's got his team with him, man. They're so supportive, man. They're like a bunch of Slim Shadys walking around with their hair like that. And it's just Arman's like that force that's coming on, and what I'm hoping. So this gives me the outcome that I want. I'm hoping that he fell in love with his hands because of the Dariush fight, and I hope that he comes in being like, "Oh, I'm a boxer now, and now I'm going to knock everybody out." Like when Ronda was like, "I'm going to knock out Mike Tyson. I got the best hands in the sport." I would like to see him come in with that and overestimate it, and maybe Charles catch him with an uppercut or something big on the feet. That would be the place where I think he could really get flatlined. Please, MMA gods, give me one last Charles run, please. Moving up the card. Oh, God. Talk about true heartbreak. So this fight is going to be where I believe Max Holloway gets knocked out for the very first time. Am I crazy?
No, I think it's going to go exactly like that. Man, this fight is going to be so hard on the heart. It's going to be because some of these fighters that we've watched over the years and just like gravitated towards, and now they're fighting other guys that we also liked a lot amongst the years, and I think they're all dangerous. Like they're all capable of knocking each other out, and I think it's going to be very emotional. I think if you're like a fight fan, even like the fighters, I think will feel a lot of emotion with like just the magnitude of the whole event. UFC 300, like everybody's hyping it up, and now it's actually here and it's happening, and these fighters are fighting our other favorite fighters. But I think Holloway, I think you're right. I think he gets shut out. I think Gaethje's going to connect. Holloway's moving up a weight class, which I think is also, I don't know if I would say it's more of a bad thing for Holloway. Because I think Gaethje's going to be too strong. And it doesn't look good for Holloway. I think the weight and as far as just fighting someone like Gaethje is just not a good combination. And I think he's been off for a while. His last fight was a year ago. It's not too bad. But it was the Korean Zombie. So I don't know, man. I don't think he's fought guys like Gaethje, to be honest with you. I think it's power. Yeah. You can't prepare for that. And it's going to be interesting.
Leg kicks. There's going to be leg kicks abounding. There's going to be trouble because Max is heavy on his feet because he boxes so much. So I get worried that he's going to get his leg taken out, going to get chewed up, going to get finished. Man, this is a tough one because after all this stuff that happened with Max Holloway, that's why I was so bitter at Volk because of that. We didn't get the run that I really wanted out of Max Holloway at 145 as a champ. Now, I'll give Volk his flowers. But that's probably one of the reasons why I always resented him so much because whoever it is who knocks down your guy, you start hating on him a little bit. So remember when Chris Weidman beat Anderson Silva, all of us were kind of like, we turned on him for a little while, and it took a while for him to like earn people's respect and love. Like they started to love Chris Weidman eventually, but like anyone who does that to a GOAT, you're like, But here, if Justin does finish one of those GOATs and finishes Max, I don't think he's going to get bad will from the fans, though. That's the difference here. I don't think Justin will get bad will because he's beloved too. Like you're saying, like both of these dudes are highly regarded by the fans. I don't think they're going to turn on him and be like, well, we hate Gaethje now. After this, if Gaethje wins, man, I guess you got to get him Islam, right? I mean, what else do you do with him?
Him or Oliveira? What if Oliveira and Gaethje win?
When you got Dustin Poirier he's calling out Islam today as we speak. He said confirmed on Facebook that he's going to fight Islam next. So
okay,
confirmed on Facebook.
Yeah.
Wow.
Why did he go on Facebook?
I don't know why it's Facebook. I don't go on Facebook. But
confirmed on MySpace.
He went on LinkedIn.
I'd
like everyone to know.
Roast Dustin. That was him. That was me.
There you go.
That is a weird place to go on Facebook. And say call out Islam on Facebook is a weird thing to do.
Well, he's like me. He's probably a little boomer adjacent. So some of his technology is a little bit behind the times. But I got a notification on my Tamagotchi. What were you saying?
I said my thing messed up and I left. But who'd you guys pick in this fight?
Gaethje.
Okay.
Which we will return to for best bets, by the way. That will factor in later. It shall return. Man, China versus China. Give me your phone. You're not allowed to look through those sites. Those are banned by the government. China. So we have Xionan versus Zhang Weili for the strawweight title. This is an interesting one. Yan has had good fights, but if I'm not mistaken, didn't she have a fight where she kind of got tuned up a little bit by Carla Esparza?
Yeah. That was 2021. She also lost to my girl, Marina Rodriguez.
Yeah. Marina, Carla. Okay. And otherwise it's
Who?
okay. Xionan.
Beat Andrade.
Oh, yeah.
And if you go back to her debut in the UFC in Shanghai when Bisping knocked out Gastelum in 2017, she fought Caitlin Curran, Suri Kondo. I think she's a good fighter. Angela, Karolina Kowalkiewicz, Claudia Gadelha. She fought all of them.
Get knocked out by Esparza. That's not the greatest look going against someone like Zhang Weili.
That's the thing. And all those other chicks that she beat, she took them all to decisions. It was always a decision. And I think she came out here and sparked Jessica, and that really led people to be like, all right, well, she's the one. But man, I don't know if she is, because look how much she struggled against Mackenzie.
Yeah.
She fought her tooth and nail. And no hate to Mackenzie, but what happens if she fights Zhang Weili?
Yeah.
Man, I don't think that goes so well.
I think this is Zhang Weili, man. She's so dominant. If you take away those Rose losses, I mean, I love Rose, but I think ever since then she's been on a tear, and I don't see anyone that could come close to beating her. I really don't. What's crazy to think about is that Joanna knockout was almost 2 years ago.
Yikes.
Yeah, I thought it was last year.
Time flies.
2 years ago.
That face plant?
Yeah.
What?
2 years ago.
We're getting old.
So, yeah.
Nuts. And now she's retired in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Rose is.
Yeah.
Or Joanna is.
Joanna, yeah.
I think Weili probably struggles most against really rangy people who have power.
Like Marina Rodriguez. I think Marina wins this fight. She might be next.
She could be a good challenge. And probably the only chance Jan has here is for Zhang to get overconfident and maybe rush into something wild. But the thing is, man, look at the Jessica Andrade fight against Zhang Weili. You ever see what happened there? Yeah. Dude, it was in China, and she tuned her up in the clinch with these knees, man. It was like when DJ beat Cejudo and knocked him out the first time. She just kneed to the body relentlessly, elbows over the top, finished her because she rushed in too crazy. So if Jan can be patient, she can survive in this fight. I worry that it's going to be a stinker, and I feel bad because if it is, it puts a bad notch on women's MMA, which, to be honest, I'm a fan, man. I actually really enjoy watching the girls. I do. I enjoy watching them fight, and they go hard, and they have some of the best performances, but there's also some really bad ones, too. The sport is kind of catching up. They're starting to learn a lot of the stuff that the male weight classes figured on a long time ago. They're going through that evolution in real time right before our eyes. And this has the potential of being a little bit of a stinker, but I believe in Weili. I don't think she's going to let us down. She's normally pretty aggressive. So
she's fun to watch. She usually gets after it. I like her fights.
She'll do it. And then she's going to go like deadlift Shaq or something like that. So stand there. Let me pick you up. I've got a main event for the ages. I mean, look at that blue steel on display right here from Jamal Hill. He's one of the funniest sons of bees in the world, dude. This guy has been putting out ridiculous content, just trolling Pereira about what's going to happen when he gets dead-legged by the leg kicks and how dramatic it's going to be. And I think, man, we'll get to this when we get to the best bets, but I think people are severely underrating Jamal Hill.
I agree.
Severely.
I agree.
I agree, but it's still Alex Pereira. That's the issue. If it was someone else.
I feel like Alex, his chin, we talked about this before the show with Alex. Mm-hmm. His chin's out there. It's there. It's sitting there. If you connect, yeah, it's a different story, but it's possible. And if it's anybody that's going to connect, it's going to be Jamal. And if Jamal connects, he's going to sleep. It's not Jiri Prochazka hitting him. It's Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill puts people out. Look at Johnny Walker. Like he puts them out bad. I don't know what he has in his hands. It's just like a genetics thing. I don't know if he's like built. His hands are big. I don't know. But when he connects, it's most likely over. And he's going to connect, I think, in this fight, in my opinion. I think he connects. I think he beat Glover. And I think he's going to beat Glover's, or I guess Glover's student. Yeah. Aleksandar.
Yeah, and I mean, Alex does keep his head out, but it took Israel Adesanya to play possum to even connect with it. So After all these fights, you would think that someone would at least expose it. I don't know if Jamal Hill's the guy to expose what you guys are talking about.
But Izzy doesn't one punch knockout people.
Yeah, but
and he did it there.
I don't know if Jamal Hill does though.
He did there, but I feel like that's not like his game, you know. Like he'll stun you and then he'll hit you in volume and like a Sean Strickland, you know.
I guess Jamal does have like those 3 knockouts before the
like Jamal, like it's like Ngannou, like he puts you to sleep.
My feeling on this is I'll use another fight as an analog. This is one of the best ways that we can do a demonstration. So you get Tom Aspinall versus Sergey Pavlovich.
Yeah.
I feel, and I don't know why, I'm probably going to be wrong, whatever, I'll accept it. I'll take my lumps. But I feel like Alex Pereira is at times a little bit like Lurch from the Addams Family or whatever it is, the Munsters or whatever that character is, where he's just kind of like lumbering.
Yeah.
And, you know, he makes it work for him. That leg kick, that slapping leg kick, the left hook is beautiful. But there's this kind of thing where, like Tom Aspinall, for instance, can hit you 3 or 4 times before you even have time to realize or react or defend. Jamal's quick, man. He's so fast. And that I watched the fight against Glover again. I think maybe that's why I'm riding so high. I saw just him do some smart things in that fight. And I thought in Brazil, man, that was quite a performance to go down there and into enemy territory and do that. That's hard, man. Because that audience is hating you, probably throwing trash at you, threatening to kill you in Portuguese. So it's just he had the presence of mind to go into that enemy territory and perform that way. And he is so fast, man. He was piecing Glover up with some of these combos. Now, granted, Glover is, 48 at this point, you know? So I know maybe not the best example, but he's still a tough bastard. So, man, I'm feeling a Jamal upset. And I think it would be really cool for his brand to have this opportunity because he went through this whole weird, like, DV case thing with his brother or cousin or whatever that was all about. Like he had some bad injuries the past couple of years. I think it's kind of held his career back. So this could be, man, imagine they couldn't get John or Connor on here. And imagine he gets put number 1 and ends up making a splash. Could he do it? Although if Alex wins, you think he's going to go to Brazil and try to fight there again at 301?
Yeah, I think he would. But back to Jamal Hill for a second. I mean, he was even supposed to fight Teixeira in Brazil. Like, think about that. You're not supposed to fight. You win the belt, and you put on a great show. You prove that you were meant to be there. A lot of times, these guys can fill in, and then they obviously show, okay, like maybe they weren't meant to be here, and he showed that he was. Now he's headlining 300. People, I mean, no one's really saying, oh, Jamal Hill shouldn't be headlining 300. We obviously have Alex, but there could have been better options, even above Alex. We have John Jones, McGregor, like you were saying, and you know, we thought that was going to be the case for 300. So, I mean, that would be an awesome story. You know, you go 2 fights in a row where you have all this crap in between, you know, the rest, the torn Achilles playing basketball, and then you prove to everybody like 3 times or 2 times that you're meant to be there. I think that's a cool show. But going against Poton, man, that's a big deal. Taking down 2 Brazilians in a row. We're going possibly Hall of Famers too.
Yeah,
I think it's going to come down to whoever's game can take control. And I think what you were saying too is that I think that Jamal Hill can adapt easier than Alex Pereira. Like if Alex gets stuck in Jamal's game, I think Jamal easily wins. I think Jamal can take the, you know, but Jamal falls into Alex's game. That's dangerous, man. That's a dangerous territory. I think he can adapt, but we've seen in the past it's very dangerous to get caught up into. You know, if you try to fight like Alex, you're going to lose to Alex.
I think the calf kicks are going to be huge in this fight for Alex.
The what? Oh, yeah.
Calf kicks. I think that's going to be the biggest weapon.
And that's what I'm saying. If he falls into that game of just standing there, taking the calf kicks, you know, backing away when he's throwing the jab, I think Jamal's going to struggle. I think Jamal's going to have to probably take control of the ring and push past those leg kicks.
Get to the
clinch. Just kind of bring more tools to the toolbox. We know from watching Alex, there's really not much to him. It's pretty simple, and that simple can be the best way to do it. So
I think the longer this fight goes on, the worse it is for Jamal Hill.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. The more you fall into that game, it's dangerous territory.
Like, Jamal Hill's best shot is a first round finish. Maybe second round, but after that, it's all Pereira, I think.
Because of the attritive weapons. Because that's one thing. Jamal doesn't throw a lot of things that are just meant to break you down slowly. Like it's a lot of big stuff. Whereas Alex is like making those little deposits. I'm gonna do a little bit more scouting for our best bets. We're gonna go into a little more in-depth, hardcore trolling on Alex Pereira. We're gonna expose him for the internet to see. He's gonna be completely exposed, guys. Okay, but the only way you can see that is to watch the best bets video because I can't think of what I'm gonna say yet. It's gonna come out later, but it's gonna be groundbreaking, so you have to see it. To wrap a little bit on our discussion of the card, how to watch. Well, there's only one way to watch, guys, and it's you pay the bill. You have to buy it. There's no other way to watch UFC. No one's ever watched it any other way. You have to do it that way. You have to pay for it. I'm sorry, guys. The poors would be very upset. Before we adjourn, any last feelings or thoughts about this card, boys?
I think I'm going to be more excited when it comes Saturday. I think once I start watching the embedded, I'm going to slowly get more excited. And then apparently there's a lot. Dana has something up his sleeve for the press conference. So we could see a McGregor-Chandler face-off. I've heard that been going around. So that's a typical UFC thing. You have one of the biggest cards ever. And then you slip McGregor in it to take the attention away from, 10 great or whatever, how many fights there are in 300. So we'll see how this week goes and see how the hypes build up for it.
They're also going to announce the main event for International Fight Week, or the main card. So maybe there's a surprise there as well. We'll see what gets announced for the main event.
Probably finally time.
International, I think UFC 303, International Fight Week.
I think it's going to be McGregor and Chandler, but we're gonna see.
Chandler just dropped his beer in the backyard. He's like, finally, it's time. He's ready to go. He's been waiting like a year now. It's time, man.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how this week goes. Like Alex said, check out the Best Bets video. It'll probably be posted right after this. And then we may do another video. We might do a reaction to the press conference because if these rumors are true, there's going to be a lot of new news. And there's just a lot of stuff to talk about. We've had 4 fight nights in a row. So if you guys have been watching those, we appreciate it. We know they're not too fun. Those best bets, they've been fun. They're fun to make, but nothing gets the hype like these pay-per-views do. So if you guys are still watching this, we're like an hour in. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, follow the Instagram. We'll see you guys next time.